Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson and Stephanie Phillips with our second show for the night. Today we're going to have Michele Fiore, Nye County Justice of the Peace, Nevada Assemblywoman, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. I mean, the list is long. She's got so many titles, but we're going to get to her in a minute. But before we get to her, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Again, our second show for the night. We are sponsored by Semper Fi Heating and Cooling. And if you would like to get in touch with them and get your system checked, their website is callsemperfi.com. Callsemperfi.com. They are a veteran-owned business. We've had them here and interviewed them, and they are great people. So give them a call. Check out their website. Also, speaking of websites, we have VIPImerch.com, VIPImerch.com. We have all kinds of merchandise on there. Fun stuff for you guys to check out. So jump on there and take a look at what we have. Also, our consulting website is live now, VIPIconsulting.com, VIPIconsulting.com. We are taking on nonpartisan candidates, so give us a call on that. Also, if you would like to advertise, if you're a candidate, you have a business or a nonprofit, and you want to advertise with us, get in touch with us on that. We are getting, this month, I think we're going to hit 15 to 20,000 viewers on our show. So for candidates especially, now that election season is coming upon us, we will take one candidate per race. So whoever gets to us first, we will not have any of your opponents advertise with us. So get a jump on that and get in touch with us. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. If you are a litigant in family court and you do not have an attorney, you can't afford one, this is a self-help book. This will help you get through that court system. It is difficult to say the least. You can get a copy on Amazon. It is $14.99. And, our Valentine's Ball is coming up on February 7th of 2026. I know that is a ways away, but we are going to have early bird tickets on sale this summer. So watch out for those. And I think that's it. We have a lot of stuff to cover with you, Michele.
A lot of stuff.
Good to see you.
It's so good to see you guys.
Well, Judge Fiore.
Yes.
Could you give us a bio?
I could. I'm going to start off with my daughters. I have two beautiful daughters, 35 and 31, and they have given me 7 grandchildren so far, right?
Wow.
And they're amazing. They both live in Vegas. One is a school teacher. One is a casino cocktail waitress. And my grandkids are amazing. 2 of them are identical twins. They will be 12 this summer, and they have autism. So autism has been, on my radar because they're my grandkids. So there's a lot to learn when you have special needs.
Right.
So, so that's my family. And then myself, I am the Justice of the Peace in Nye County, Pahrump, and it is amazing. We have about 60, 70 cases a day, from murder to DUI fatality to rape to a speeding ticket. I mean, all the days are different. Mm-hmm. Before I became a Justice of the Peace, I was a city councilwoman and the mayor pro tem and the Republican National Committee woman. So I traveled the state a lot, all 17 counties. So as a judge, it's not, and then before that I was an assemblywoman, but most of all, I've always been a CEO, whether it was my own companies or publishing and coming back in, once I get back on the bench, I'll be opening up a couple more companies and writing a book. It's about time. Mm-hmm. It's about time because there's so much juice that I've got to say, and I'm going to save it for the book. And it'll be really cool. And my goal is to sell 1 million copies. We're just gonna start small at 1 million copies, and we'll see where it goes from there. Mm-hmm. But I just have energy like a kid, and it's been very difficult these last 9 months. I've been through a war. I've had several battles over the past decade, but this was truly a war, and I won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, and it was And I'll tell you, a lot of people don't realize what people go through and who sticks with you and who doesn't. And a lot of people don't understand the FBI system and when they're investigating someone. And you have to think about this. So the DOJ, and I'll start it out with the Bundys. Mm-hmm. The DOJ, we kind of embarrassed one particular U.S. attorney, Stephen Myrie, and he came after the Bundys really hard. He's just been, I can't believe like none of the Nevada U.S. attorneys, like we had Jason Frierson, and then before Jason we had someone, and I just can't believe that they haven't fired Myrie out of that office, because he's just not, he's a prosecutor that uses his prosecutorial immunity to get away with lying and hiding exculpatory evidence. And I have to tell you, the Bundys Judge Gloria Navarro, in the beginning, she was just like, the feds aren't going to lie to me type of attitude. And as soon as she started seeing Stephen Myrie's blatant lies and his blatant hiding exculpatory evidence, Judge Gloria Navarro literally wrote a scathing opinion letter of him. He got investigated. He was demoted. He just should have left the office. Like, he's got so many attorney friends. He just sort of went into private practice and left representing the people, because I want you to think about this. This guy, this one guy, literally put it together what they call COINTELPRO, right? COINTEL Pro, PRO, which is one agency that enrolls several agencies to target one person. So you've got Stephen Myrie, the DOJ, then you've got the FBI under him. So we got some of his crony FBI agents. And then one of the FBI agents lived with an IRS agent, right? They were common law married, right? And this goes all the way back to the Bundys, right?
FBI with the IRS.
So what year is this?
So they've been investigating me since the Bundys. So the Bundys happened in 2014. I was in my assembly office in 2015, and in schleps this IRS special agent named Sharon something. I'm not going to say her last name. It'll be in my book. This is the lover or common wife of the FBI agent. I'll say his first name, Michael. And his name will be in my book. And so Stephen Myrie engages Michael. He engages Sharon. They engage another FBI agent called Cody Fraxel. Dirty guy. And then you have the dead journalist, right? You have, what's his name? Jeff Gearman, right? Headline me.
Yeah.
Jeff Gearman, who passed away. May he rest in peace. So you've got the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS, the media, and Metro, right? And Metro. So you're talking tailing me for 8 years minimum. 8 years. 4 different investigations. 2 Washington, D.C. elite strike teams, right? And the infamous raid on my house, which I tell people it was not a raid. I had 20-something agents in my house. They almost shot my dogs when they first came in, right? They didn't, right?
I was reading an article. I pulled up a bunch of articles today.
That would have gotten me crazy.
Yeah.
That was one. And the headline, I think it was maybe a quote from you, that it was more like they robbed and looted.
Yeah, they did. It was a raid, rob, and loot. So when you look at that, right? So they come in, Cody Fraxel comes in. Now I want you to know the first sentence Cody Fraxel says to me. He says, well, your best friend, Victoria Seaman, told me what you've been doing. And I looked at him and I'm thinking, well, obviously she's not a best friend if she's talking to the feds, right?
Yeah.
And
She was an informant for them.
obviously.
When did they recruit her? Do you know?
Very early on. And I'll tell you, that will come up. That will definitely come out and come up, because the attorney that did the trial with me, Mr. Samft, and it's all public. So I can talk to you about what was public, right?
Could I stop you right there for a second?
Yeah.
Do you think they have something on Seaman? Is the reason why she turned on you?
So I don't think so, because...
Or she just freely just wanted to just disrupt your life?
So, to know her is to know her, right? And what I'll say is she's not very nice. She's very untruthful. And she's very litigious and vindictive. So she sues for everything, right? She'll watch the show and she'll go to her attorney and she's like, can we sue Michelle for what she said? Can we sue Michelle for what she said? Let's
break this down.
Right? Can we sue her? Right? Because she tried that, right? So she tried suing me with an altercation at the city, saying there was conspiracy. But the city's smart enough to hire an outside law firm who did a complete investigation. And let me tell you, she refused to meet with that investigator for months, like 7-9 months, right? And when she did, she was mean. When you read the 61 pages, you're like, why would you talk to someone you don't know, about something in that tone, right? So the 61 page comes back and it's like, it's both their faults, but Victoria started it, right? But she literally, Michelle did this and the mayor covered it up and all a lie. So that case got dismissed with prejudice, right? But she was suing. It was all over the paper. She was suing. That's what she does, right? And, and everything is public information. She fell on her bicycle in a puddle. She sued the HOA. She, so
It's always somebody else's fault.
yeah. So it's sue. Well, I don't sue, right? I just fight, right? Like fight, right? So, so when he said that to me, I thought, well, this investigation is going nowhere, because if Victoria Seaman's talking, she's lying, right? So I was very comfortable. As a matter of fact, most people don't know this, but when they came to my house at 7, I had a hair appointment at 9 a.m. and I wasn't missing it because 23 agents were in my house looting, robbing, and raiding it. So I said to Cody, after he said that to me, thinking it would shock me, which nothing shocks me, I said, well, do you need, does your crew need pizza or coffee or whatever? Because I'll have my mom order it. I've got 1 million appointments to do. I didn't want to tell him I was going to do my roots, right? So, and I said, how long will you be here? And he's like, oh, we'll be here until we're done. Real cocky, real like, And my mom, to know my mom, I'm starting the book with memoirs of my mom. To know my mom is to know where I get this personality from. She's a Brooklyn tough girl that you'll find out. Yeah, you'll find out, right? And so when I left the house, because they took my phone, my computers, they took everything. So I left the house. I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't have any money. So I turn around, I come back. I'm like, Cody, I got to get some makeup and cash. He's like, okay. And he writes it down. Thank God, right? Because I have cash in my house. So I go upstairs, I get my makeup. On my shelf is this book. It was hollowed out with about 10 grand in it. So I grab it because now he's got my computer and phones. I got to go buy a new computer and phones, right? So as I'm going downstairs, my mom has a side word with me, and those side words will be in the book because thank God she's dead because it's criminal. So, so anyway, Cody says to me, I need to go through your purse. So I'm like, you do? And he's like, yeah. So here's this FBI agent. He's going through my purse, and I have my Glock 43 in my purse. And, I took my mom's gun just for the safety of all of the other people, right? Because she's a little crazy. And so he's like, this is a nice gun, right? And he doesn't really know how to handle a gun. And I'm like, Cody, don't put your finger on the trigger. There's a bullet in the chamber, and I don't want you to shoot yourself. So put my gun back, and I'm out, right? So he puts my gun back, and he's going through, and he's taking credit cards. I'm like, you're not taking that credit card. That's personal. And he gives me the search warrant. He doesn't give me the affidavit. Until the indictment comes in, I never get to see the affidavit. But so I go about my merry way. I run to Walmart. I get a phone that I don't even know how to work. You just get this phone.
The burner phone.
And now I'm on my way to my hairdresser's. And I get the phone turned on. And I get Chance, who is my chief of staff. And I get my daughter, who's my secretary. And I'm like, meet me at Melissa's. The house is being raided. And Sheila, my daughter's like, Mom, cancel the freaking hair appointment. Like, your house is being raided. I'm like, no. Meet me. Listen, they're going to raid the house. I have to get my roots done. Let's go. Right? So Chance and my daughter meet me at my hairdresser's place. And we're talking. And my hairdresser, Melissa, she's like, Michelle, is your house being raided right now? I'm like, it is. She's like, are you insane? And I'm like, no, I just know they're BS. And their first sentence, Victoria Seaman told me everything. Oh, that's okay. Right? So I'm like, I'm safe. I'm safe. Like, I'm like sliding in the dugout safe because anything she says, right? So I'm like not worried. So Sheena then, takes some cash and she goes, gets some phones and, and it's, and we get a computer. And this is how rude they were. I was in college. And I had 2 computers on my table. Mm-hmm. I said, listen, this is my personal computer, it has all my stuff, but this is my UNLV computer, and I've got a presentation due tomorrow. Please don't take that. And he's like, oh, no, we're taking it over. Do your presentation over. Right? I worked on that presentation for 30 days. It was like a big final assignment, right? So I'm like, oh, my God. And nothing's in the iCloud. Everything's just saved on that computer, mm-hmm. right? All like documents, right? So they're not helpful, I'll say that. Mm-hmm. So I leave, I do my hair, I go and I do this, and I tell my mom, call me when they leave. Oh, before I leave, I tell them, if you want to open the safes, my mom has the keys. Mm-hmm. Please don't drill my safes. Mm-hmm. What do you think they did?
They drilled.
They drilled my safes, right? Okay, so I have a 3-car garage, and 2 of the car garage is packed with my mom's stuff because I moved her in with me 5 years ago, and she's not letting anything go. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm like, all right, Mom, because in her mind, one day she's going to get her own apartment. She's going nowhere. She's my mom. I'm taking care of her. She's going nowhere. Right. But whatever. So my mom calls me. I don't know. It was about 3. She's like, they're gone, Michelle. Thank God you took my gun because I'm done with life. I'm done with life. Right. She's like, I've had a great life, and I'm like, Mom, I need you to act like an old, decrepit woman and stop talking like that, right? So I come home and water is coming out of my garage. Water is coming out of my garage. And I can't get in my garage. My garage door won't open. Oh, boy. And, and I never had a raid before, right? Yeah. And people have told me how horrible it is, but I never believed them. I'm like, there's policies. It's
and they're never held accountable for destroying your stuff, taking your stuff. Like it doesn't even matter. And I don't know why there is not oversight on that they cannot sit there and destroy your place.
Let's see what happens, right? So
it's incredible.
I have to go through around the front. I come in the front door and I say, Mom, are you good? She's like, I'm good, Michelle. I'm like, okay. So I opened the garage door, and when you open the whole, you couldn't get into the garage because they had boxes stacked up. I said, Mom, there's water coming from the garage. She's like, yeah. And my mother was born and raised in Brooklyn, and gangster to the core. The F word is every other word, and mother is in front of it. Okay? Okay? So she's like, very Brooklyn woman. She's like, those bleep, 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 right? Came in here and they said, oh, by the way, your water heater broke. She's like, if that guy was in Brooklyn, like a bat would have went right across his face. I'm like, Mom, you need to calm down. The water heater, that's what's coming out? Okay, so.
Did they break it?
Yes. So I called Chance and I'm like, Chance, please get here. I can't get through the garage. So
were they trying to get inside to see if you had stuff in there? What in the world?
I have no clue. I don't know how to search someone's house like that. So I finally get in the garage and everything's broken.
You can't sue?
My mom's stuff. Wait, I'm going to tell you. So my mom had these dishes, and I call them fine china. She calls them porcelain because they were her mom's from Italy, and they had all of the angels on them and all the figurines on this whole set. And she's been schlepping this thing since her parents died, which was 50 something years ago. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that box was just crushed, whoosh, don't place it down. Just let me throw it down. All her photos, all her frames, everything broken. We had rubber bins, and then we had her cardboard boxes on top of the rubber bins. Her pictures of her mom and dad when they were kids was loose in a cardboard box in the water. right? So half of them we got to restore, half of them they weren't fixable, right? So the safes drilled out. It was disgusting. I mean,
Did they take your weapons?
they didn't take my weapons. They took 2 of my mother's guns and some of my jewelry. And I mean, when
Jewelry?
Why?
Well, because first of all, I had jewelry boxes, and then where I sit down and do my makeup in the morning. So I have my jewelry that I wear daily, right? Like, so this will sit where I do my makeup, right? My watch, right? Or some earrings, and I match my jewelry to the color of clothes that I'm wearing. So, but there's diamonds, like my diamond earrings and my diamond bracelet, that just goes with anything, you know? So that was just sitting there. So 2 diamond bracelets gone, earrings gone.
They're a bunch of thieves.
That's why I said rob, loot, and raid.
Did they give you
Yes.
a thing with
An
everything they
inventory?
took? Inventory?
Yeah.
Was that on there?
No. So
Of
jewelry
course
wasn't
not.
on there. The guns weren't on there. And the 2 guns were my mom's in her bedroom because she couldn't go up to her bedroom because she had back surgery. She was downstairs in the second living room. So the raid was, so I was shocked. I don't know if you've ever been robbed, but it feels so invasive. It feels so personal. It feels, and I didn't expect that. Like, I was just thinking they were coming in, going to take the paperwork and out. So,
Did you video everything, all the damage, everything broken?
yeah, then
pictures?
one of my guns. So I have 7 grandkids, right? And one of my grandkids has a cute little makeup desk in my bathroom. They take one of my firearms and stick it leave it out in the open, right on her makeup desk, right? So this happens, and
Was it loaded?
yeah. If my firearms were over, what the hell is an unloaded firearm going to do? Wait a minute,
Right.
Mr. Bad Guy.
I know.
Let me put some, magazines up in here and get one in the chamber.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I, I am speechless, right? And so we start cleaning things up. I start taking pictures of the safes, of the gun, of the water heater, $4,000 later for a new water heater. My mom's pictures of the broken porcelain. I don't want to say China, may she rest in peace, because she left us in September of 23. And so that's the raid, right? I go to Chesnoff, right? Because, I'm David, yes. I go, listen, what do I do here? He's like, how much? I'm like, I don't know. If I had to guess, I don't know, maybe 30 grand between the guns, the jewelry. I don't know what my mom's porcelain, who knows how long she's been schlepping. I don't know. So David's like, listen, 30 grand, who cares? I'm 250 grand. And the only thing you're going to do if you make a police report is the headlines aren't going to say, FBI robbed Fiore. The headlines are going to say Fiore was raided. So you want the headlines for 30 grand, or are you just going to suck it up? So I sucked it up.
That sucks.
Didn't say anything. Didn't say
the headlines
anything.
came anyway.
The headlines came after Victoria Seaman had the FBI in her office. It was either in May or June, it was that summer. So it wasn't moving fast enough. And Victoria knew that I was raided because she was talking with them.
Speaking of Seaman, do people know that you're the one that brought her to the assembly and then you brought her to city council?
I don't claim that, but
I
that
do.
is true. That is very true. Yes.
You're the one that helped her with her
Yes.
career, and then she backstabbed you like that.
Well, that's sometimes how people are.
Because you
right?
guys were best buddies, right?
I
Close buddies back
thought she was, but come to find out, she was never my friend, right?
She just used you.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But, and let me tell you, if that ever comes to court
And then
and
she tries
she
to
ever
be a
wants
blonde
to,
too, by the way.
I know, like that. What a compliment, right? What a compliment. Right. But so I would really advise her never to sue me again, because all of the paperwork will come out, right? So when this all came out, my attorney that was doing the trial, the witness list was out publicly. She was on it. So I'm like, Mike, now you get to question her. He's like, they're not bringing her up because the FBI told Mike Samft, who told me that nothing she has told them was substantiated. It was all unsubstantiated. I'm like, well, no, duh. That's why I wasn't worried about when Cody Fraxel, first thing he says to me, and so listen, when that happened Wednesday, the 27th, 2021, Victoria and I were supposed to go to dinner Friday, right? And I said to her, look, I just can't do it. I can't do this. And we had just, I really had to wrap my head around what he said. So I kind of avoided her. And then by the end of May, I just called her out and I just said, look, I know what you did. And she's like, what did I do? And I'm like, I just don't want to talk about it. We're breaking up. Like, we're breaking up, right? And that was it, right? So that was the breakup so I knew what she did, because why would the FBI agent say that to me, right? So that was the raid, right? But before the raid, there were all the other things I said. And let me explain something to you. People would call me, ex-employees would call me, Michele, the FBI just called me, they subpoenaed me, I have to go in front of a grand jury, and this happened. Okay, my friends would call me, Michele, the FBI came to my house, and this is what happened. Like, they come, they flash their badge. I want you to imagine this. They flash their badge. They're like, listen, we're investigating your friend, but don't tell her. And I'm like, that's illegal. Wow. That's illegal. Yeah. You can tell me. She's like, I thought so. So then because they were listening to my phone, once they kept hearing me say, that's illegal, then this is their new thing. They flash their little badge and they're like, we're the FBI and we're investigating your friend. Now, we want to keep this a secret. See my badge? We want to keep it a secret. Mm-hmm. See my badge? We want to keep it a secret. So we would appreciate if you don't tell anybody about this meeting. So
people get intimidated.
Totally get intimidated.
And some people don't.
Right? And I don't. Like, bring it. You want some tea? We'll talk about it, right? No. So, yeah. So,
last time I said tea, I ended up in the paper.
Right, I know. So anyways, that's what they did. And let me tell you something. For all your listeners and all your viewers and all my lovers and all my haters.
Tell them. It's right there.
I know exactly who you are. Right? Because
we see you online.
Yeah. No, they literally say, and don't worry. This report I'm doing, it's confidential. You're a confidential human source, right? And then me and my attorneys are going through it, and it's like, yeah, I went to her party and I did this and What, do you think I don't know who you are? Like, they don't have to tell me your name when they tell me who you are. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you, 8 years. I want you to think about the number of like over 600 people they talked to about me.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, my friends, if you talk to the FBI about me, you're not my friend. Don't ever call me again. I know who you are, right? So it's like,
did they, when they come to your house, obviously you don't have to open the door. If they don't have a subpoena, you don't have to talk to them. No. If they don't have a subpoena or a search warrant, anything. And people, you can just go on your merry way and say, you know what, you want to talk to me? Subpoena me, I will bring my attorney.
Yes.
But most people won't.
Let me tell you something.
Won't do that.
So here's
take that badge and shove up their ass.
I would tell them to... Adios.
Yeah. Well, most people are afraid. The FBI. It's the FBI. Forever bothering Italians. Forever bothering Italians, right? FBI, right? FBI. I'm the FBI. Right? I got to come up with the DOJ acronym, right? But anyway, but here's the thing. Like, if you would have talked to me about the FBI before it happened to me, I would be like, they're sexy. I would be like, the FBI. I was never not a pro law enforcement girl. Do you understand? Like, we were doing the Blue Lives Matter march. Joe Lombardo called and said, Michele, you can't do that. I'm like, it's not my march. Call Wayne Allen Root, Gave him Wayne's number and he called it. But, it was just disturbing to me of all of the cheating and all of the missing discovery that they've done and then all of the discovery. And the only thing I'm talking about is things that my incredible attorney, which is Paola Armeni, Paola Armeni is with Clark Hill. She is just a smart cookie. I mean, you read her motions, you know I'm innocent, but you've got to read them, right? We've asked for a motion, 2 motions for a new trial and an acquittal. Both got denied on Good Friday. And let me tell you, my pardons attorney, Christina Wilderveld, she is like, I want you to imagine this beautiful Jewish woman shaking a tray, right? So they deny Paola's motions on Good Friday. Who does that? Who does denying motions on Good Friday? But the judge did.
What was their reason for denying?
Oh, she made 78 pages of whatever.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So what does my attorney Christina do? She's letting the White House know. Like, and the White House, you have to understand, this pardon wasn't handed to me without the White House attorneys literally doing their homework and their investigation on everything that I've been through for a decade. And this new case, statute and all of this stuff. When you read the headlines, it's so easy for people to read the headlines and go with it. What's most difficult is for someone to read the headlines, right? And then do the research. Look at the court sealed documents. Get them, right? Get them, because in all the sealed documents, it'll show you all their crimes. Look at the missing testimony. My daughter, who did all the events for me, who we spent including my own personal money, right? That she would borrow my cash to do. We spent so much money. We did 30 to 40 events a year. You know that. And we, all of that testimony was stricken. That was my whole defense. So she took my whole defense away. The DOJ got to just lie. And the jurors, I feel bad because, I was first looking at them and connecting. And then like on day 3, my attorney says to me, don't look at the jurors because you're not allowed. And I'm thinking, I'm a judge. Okay, I guess not. But I never heard that, but maybe the federal rules. He's like, yeah, the federal rules are different. He says, and like really stern. And I was like, okay. So for me, smiling and kind of connecting, now all of a sudden I had to look down, right? And it was very telling because one of the jurors, I think his name was David, when he was talking to the press, it's like, I felt a connection with Michele, and then all of a sudden her demeanor changed. Well, David, I got yelled at, and I wasn't allowed to look at you anymore. Yeah. Which then they struck that. I couldn't look at anyone. I couldn't help with my case. I was just stuck, and it was horrible because the instructions were very hard to follow for the jurors. There were people on that jury that should have never been on the jury. The first day,
Steve. Why did you say that?
Well, because one was a labor girl who literally ran campaigns and definitely was involved in, one of my campaigns. Okay. Then the judge says, does anyone know Miss Fiore here? More than 80% shook their head. Yes. Mistrial right there. Second, has anyone seen the news? Oh, all of them saw the news, right? Mistrial number 2. Third, the judge says, well, can you be unbiased? And they all shook their heads. Yes, we can be unbiased. Yes, of course. We're going to hang her. We're going to hang her from a crane. We can be totally be unbiased, right? We can be unbiased, right? Yeah. So
where have we heard that before?
I don't know.
I've heard that quote somewhere before.
I don't know. It's a term of endearment. Let me tell you, and I will tell you that it is. Do you know how many times a friend of mine said, "I'm hanging you from a crane"? I mean, it's a term of endearment. You have to know, right? It's like the F word sometimes. It's like you, blah blah blah. It's a term of endearment, right? So it's literally a term of endearment. So anyway, here we go.
It's a term of endearment.
It's a term of endearment.
I figured hanging was like death.
Oh my God.
Not when they love you, right? Not when they love you, right? So,
what if you don't like the person? I'm just saying that.
Here's the
different
problem. It's
connotation.
like it's like your vernacular, right? So, certain people have a vernacular. It's like Brooklyn. It's a whole nother language, right? I had to work 3 years to get rid of the accent and try to speak American, right? So it's vernacular.
Well, Brooklyn is American.
I know Brooklyn's American, but sometimes we come across a little strong. And we have to rein it in. So anyway, so here we go through the trial, and I'm thinking, Mike, I'm dead. And he's like, I got this. You know, Mr. Suave, right? I'm like, all right, you got this. We're good. Okay. So we go with it. And I have my haters cheering. And I want you to realize something. Stephen Myrie claimed that this wasn't his case, even though he was signing things till after the indictment, right? Even though he enrolled the strike team from DC, the public integrity team, which was Dahoud Askar and Alexander Gottfried. You know, so Stephen's like, I'm not involved. But his friend, who's also a delinquent that's in that office, was in the court cheering. Daniel Sheesh, I think is his name, Schiess, something like that. Literally, this tall old guy, you know, just being a nutbag in the courtroom, right?
Judge never admonished him?
Never, right? Never admonished the three old little biddies in the front talking to the jurors, never admonished them. And you got to think about this visual. The table was packed with FBI agents, assistants, you know, the DOJ, the prosecutors. And then on this table, the defendant's table, it was me and Mike Sam. Mm-hmm. That was it, right? Mm-hmm. So it was an experience. And this is what I'm going to tell you. As a judge, right? As a sitting judge, I go to judicial college like 5 weeks out of the year, online, in person. Mm-hmm. And I never wish this upon anybody, but getting a defendant's point of view, you know, in my courtroom, it says every saint has a past and every sinner has a future by St. Augustine when he was teaching the priests coming up. What I saw of the railroading, of what was happening with the DOJ, all of this, the day one that I took the bench in Pahrump, day one, I said, let me just lay my rules out to the public defenders, to the other attorneys, and to the prosecutors. There's no immunity in my courtroom. If you lie to me about a defendant, or you misrepresent your case, or you withhold exculpatory evidence, I'm going to sanction and fine you. So let's just be straight. Because I saw it with the Bundys. I saw it with so many people. I saw misjustices. And I will tell you, our DA in Pahrump, which is Brian Kunze, fabulous, because all of his attorneys are fabulous. They are fair. They're about justice. They're not about the wind. Here in Clark County, they're about the win. It ain't nothing. Oh, you're innocent. We're gonna prove you guilty.
Believe me, I'm learning about that.
Yeah. We're gonna prove you guilty, right? And so understand this pardon wasn't handed to me because it was not deserved. Mm-hmm. The White House went through, tooth and comb, the things that Christina Wildervelt was emailing and calling every day. Here's this, a little social history from the beginning of the harassment. And we literally, if you never saw a movie called Government Gangsters by Kash Patel, you got to see it. Because I literally created my own little chart, Government Gangsters, when I was talking to you about COINTELPRO. So you have Stephen Myrie, you have the FBI, you have the IRS, you have the press, you have Washington, D.C., and you have Metro. Mm-hmm. All targeting Michele, right? Listening to my phone calls.
Why were they targeting you, Michele?
Bundys. So
the
Bundys and my mouth and my stand, I just listen. I'll never forget. It was April of 2014. And some Oath Keepers came up to me and they're like, there's a drone strike. It's confirmed. And it's happening tonight. I called Brian Sandoval. I literally called Brian Sandoval. Because I was an assemblywoman. He was the governor. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a little secret about Brian Sandoval in a second. But I called Brian Sandoval and I'm like, I'm here. Now you guys, whoever's ordering this drone strike, I'm about to die, Brian. I'm not leaving. So I went to Cliven and Cliven Bundy. And I said, Cliven, I don't know what's going to happen, but I did speak with the governor. And I think he's going to handle it. But I'm going to stay here. And Cliven said, no, we might die. And I said, I know, but I'm going to stay here. And we never talked about it again until this happened, right? So, and when I say this happened, because they came out quietly to support, and I had people flying in from Idaho, Cincinnati, Cliven and Carroll came out, Ryan came out, Bundy's, right? And they literally held a press conference at the statue that the media is saying doesn't stand, right? So Peter Santilli, the syndicated show host, Tom Rentz, the other syndicated show guy, and the Bundys and the man on the bridge, so they're all here, right? Eric Parker flies in from Idaho. Pete flies in from Cincinnati. The Bundys drive in. I mean, it's all the Patriots, right? So we literally hold the press. I wasn't there because my attorney's like, you're not going. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going, right? So, but all of them were there. All the media was there. 8, 13, 5, Las Vegas Review. I have a picture of it. And I posted it on my Facebook. Truth is truth, right? Fox 5 was saying the statue never came to fruition. I did 6 statues, 3 of them cops. Don't tell me I ain't pro law enforcement. So just, you can throw that away. And so they do this press conference. All this media is there, and the FBI is there too, right? All this media is there because the FBI calls Mike while I'm in his office, and he's like, "Where's your girl?" Dahoud calls Mike Samp, "Where's your girl?" And Mike's like, "She's not going to the press conference." And the FBI, and I'm right there listening to this, and he's like, "That's a good thing," and he hangs up the phone. I'm like, "Mike," he's like, "You're not going, you're not going," right? Because that just triggers me. It just triggers me. So, so they do this press conference, and it's a blackout. Not one media outlet talks about Cliven Bundy, Pete Santilli, and Eric Parker, who was held in prison, Ryan Bundy, for 2 years, was here in front of the Allen Beck statue at the Allen Beck Park doing a press conference, right? No, because it would hurt their narrative. Right. They have to keep their willful defamation on me, right?
So the statue is built.
There's 6 statues built. 3 of them are cops.
So why are they saying it's not built?
Because it's fake news.
They were saying that the money in your PAC was not used to build the statue, that it came from outside personal funds from other people.
So here's what they did. Yeah. So they took the charity, and there's 7 counts, right? Let's go through it. First count was the conspiracy with me and my daughter. My daughter never did anything wrong, right? They gave her immunity, then they ripped it from her on the stand. All the witnesses that they put on count 1, they're like, "No, Michelle never called me. I don't even know Michelle."
Did your daughter testify against you?
No. Okay. My daughter was...
Her testimony, when the media went crazy when your daughter was on the stand, and the prosecutor asked her, did you just perjure yourself or, commit a federal crime?
She did,
when she wrote the check, she said she wrote the check or whatever that was.
But here's what they didn't do, right? Here's why. First of all, they didn't tell the judge she had immunity. Number 1. They didn't tell the judge she had immunity. They bullied her on the stand. And here's why her testimony would have been fine. Because then Michael Samp, my attorney, would have went up there and said, "Did your mother give you permission to sign the checks?" And the minute she said, "Yeah, it's fine." Like, she didn't perjure herself. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so let me just be clear about that. Sheena Siegel did nothing wrong. But this lesson taught me never hire my kids because they'll come after your kids. Just never. Yeah. My kid was tortured for 4 years with the FBI, right? Yeah. Never, and just your child should never, ever have to bear carrying your cross, right? So, no. So, when Alexander Gottfried, his big bully self, started going crazy on my kid, it's my kid. Yeah. So I wasn't going to just let that happen. So Michael, I don't know where Michael's head was, but as soon as I slammed my hand on the table, he woke up and, right. And I'm like, and he's like, "Stop it." And then he gets up and then they go do a sidebar. Right. And then the judge takes I think she calls a recess, and everyone is up in arms, right? Up in arms now. So they call a recess. They get her a public defender because her attorney was in Florida sunbathing somewhere. I don't know. And so then they get her federal public attorney, and they come back, and the federal public defender makes her plead the fifth, right? So we're done. My defense. And then at the end, the judge strikes all of her testimony, right? Okay, great, right? So now I have no defense. So I'm sitting there defenseless, like, where's the money? What happened? Like, it was charity. So the first account, Everyone said, I don't know Michelle. She didn't ask me for the money. We just gave a check to someone. Who cares, right? It went to a charity event. So if you send money to a Red Cross, do you know where it's going? It's going to Red Cross, right? So it goes to the charity or the PAC. And when it goes to the PAC, the SOS said, look, the SOS was on the stand. The Secretary of State was on the stand saying she didn't break any rules. And then the feds are like, she broke this fed, she broke this. Then they go up and they're talking to the banker, and the banker's like, and they're showing him checks that on the back there's no endorsement. He's like, well, it's wire this way. No, there's 4 different things you have to have for wire. Intent, this, that. There's no intention there. Now it gets very interesting. So count 1, my kid. She should not be a co-conspirator. That's out. White House saw that. Counts 2 through 7, right? So far, since this pardon, 3 of them called me. 3 of them that were on the stand and said, I'm sorry. I was shook down. I have FBI investigation cases myself. I'm sorry. I love you, but you really need to know what's happening in my life. So counts 2 through 7, except for Governor Lombardo, right? Counts 2 through 7, there was 5 people on counts 2 through 7. Take Governor Lombardo out, that leaves 4 people. 3 of the 4 people have called me and said, the FBI shook me down. They said, do you remember this? I'm like, no. They're like, yes, you remember this, right? This is what they're telling me on the phone. Now, okay? Now we come to our governor, our fabulous Republican governor, right? Now, I'm a judge. I love being non-political. There's no, you don't want
to run in that race, right?
I did run in the race, and I got out.
That's right.
I got out, and I ran for treasurer to help him. So as a judge, and I'm talking politics, understand I have a history of being a firebrand GOP, and that history can't be erased just because I'm a judge. I just don't act on the firebrand GOP as a judge. I have judicial canons that I must obey, and I obey. I obey everything.
Well, I wish a lot of judges will obey the canons.
No, I obey. I obey my
some of our Clark County judges here.
I obey my judicial canons, but we're
you're
talking
not even
history.
an attorney, right?
Not yet.
She's getting there.
The minute I step back on the bench, I will be filling out applications to.
And when are you stepping back on the bench?
So it's a process, right? So originally I'm like, Monday,
the media said you were no-show and all that. So explain that to people, because I saw a lot of comments on that.
Here's the thing. Again, willful defamation. You ready? Channel 8, Channel 5, Las Vegas Review-Journal, all of them I text, right? And I said, listen, 2 things I need to tell you. Stop saying I'm convicted, because I was never convicted. A jury came back with a verdict, but in order to be convicted, 2 federal processes have to happen. 1, sentencing, and 2, the court has to enter judgment. None of that has taken place. None. Now I'm fully pardoned unconditionally, never convicted. There's no conviction on my record, 0 conviction on my record. So let's be clear, willful defamation in the media, conviction, convicted judge, convicted. No, never was I ever convicted, and they knew it. That's number 1. Number 2, they knew because I literally text them, and I have the text. Listen, the Judicial Commission has to have the signature of the judge for vacating the sentencing. And so they have that as of Monday, and today's Wednesday. So they have that, and they have the sealed pardon. So they have those 2. Now the Judicial Commission has to convene, which they convene, I don't know, once or twice a week. So the minute they convene, then my suspension is rescinded, right? And once that is rescinded, then I am back on the bench. So it could rescind tomorrow, Thursday. There's no court Friday, Saturday. You know what I mean? It depends on when they rescind it, but I think it's going to be quick.
Do they have to back pay?
So we are looking at that, and I believe they will have to. And I want you to think about this for a minute, right? I'm a single woman. Single woman, 1 income. I don't have any rich lovers, right? And so all of a sudden now you take my paycheck away, right? For 7 months, right? Thank God I was bougie once upon a time that I could sell my Christian Dior shoes and my nice watches and my nice purses and my cars, right? Because if I didn't have, and my bedroom set.
The stuff the FBI didn't take.
Right.
They didn't want your shoes.
They didn't want my pretty pink Christian Dior shoes, right? Yeah. So, but you're talking about a bedroom set, and I'm okay with it. Like, it's like a cleanse, right? Like it's a $20,000 bedroom set from 2005, before politics. So don't tell me that I used charity funds to buy a bedroom set. So, $20,000 bedroom set, sold it for $1,500.
Wow.
Sold a Jaguar for $5,000.
Wow.
Sold the Valentino shoes for $300, right? Sold I can't even tell you, right? But I'm okay with it. Sold my purses, Chanel, this, that, right? I can't, but I'm grateful I had something to sell, right? I'm grateful that I had things to sell to pay my bills, right? Because my nut's not little. So, and I'm okay. Sold my office, sold my grandkids' bedroom sets, sold everything, right? I only have my cheap shoes left, right? So I mean, everything.
The hush puppies.
My hush puppies, right? I don't think I have hush puppies, but I mean, I have like Skechers and cowboy boots and stuff no one's gonna want. So, but again, I'm grateful I had it. I'm grateful for the experience. I was offered to talk to the FBI like 3 different times.
Did you sue them?
I don't know, but I just want my life back. I don't really care about suing people. And I told my attorneys, every single one of them, no, I'm not talking to the FBI ever. Okay.
What do they want to talk to you about now?
No, before, to make a deal. They probably wanted me to rat some people out. So I want you to think about this, right? So if you're committing a crime, are you going to come to me and go, hey, judge, I'm breaking the law. So this way, when the FBI comes to me and says, hey, judge, what do you know about Steve Sanson? Well, Mr. FBI with your big old badge, let me tell you about Steve Sanson, right?
He's
Steve
a nice
Sanson
guy.
told me he's breaking the law. Like, hello.
Right.
Like, hello, right? Hello. Like, and here's the thing I really found out. The FBI can't exist without their confidential human sources. They don't know how to get in the information. They don't know how to get in there. It's not like Johnny, whatever his name was, that was a Fed, undercover, goes into the mob. We ain't got none of those boys on the FBI today.
Were you ever fearful that you might have been going to prison?
Yes. Why do you think I was selling everything? I was trying to empty everything. I don't want my kids to have to go through my stuff, crying while I'm in prison, finding homes for my dogs. Yeah. I had found homes for my dogs.
Wow.
It's getting rid of everything, putting things in a Connex box.
So you were mentally getting ready.
Yes, because I would much rather have gone to prison with my integrity and stood tall and stood firm than to ever make a deal with a corrupt DOJ.
And you never took the stand?
No.
How come?
My attorney said not to. He said, I'm emotional and I'm going to piss the jury off. And I might say a bad word.
That's possible.
I might say a bad word.
That's possible.
Right? Yeah. And so my attorney said, you're fired. You're fired. And he's like, you're not taking the stand.
So when you got pardoned, what was going through your mind? How did you feel?
So Christina called me. It was Wednesday night. It was about 4 or 5 o'clock. And I was sitting at my table, just doing my plans, And she said, Michelle. I said, yes. She said, I got an email from the White House. Now, Christina and I talk often, so I wasn't expecting the call.
She's your lawyer.
She's my pardons lawyer, yeah. And she's amazing. She's like, I got an email from the White House. And I said, oh, what about it? And she's like, you are fully pardoned unconditionally. And so when she said that, it was like, I didn't believe her, right? It was extremely emotional. And I started crying, and then I sucked it up, and I'm like, Christina, don't play a game. This is not okay. This is not funny. Like, don't play. Is this like real? She's like, Michelle, it's real. I would never do that. And then I just started crying for like 40 minutes, and but I still didn't believe it. So I still didn't believe it. So she emails it to me, and I still don't believe it.
Did you have an opportunity to meet Donald Trump?
Not since I've been a judge. Before, yes, but not since I've been a judge, because you have to separate politics. So after I cried and cried, I still didn't believe it. And then the next morning, Thursday morning, I wouldn't say anything until Christina confirmed it with the DOJ that they received the pardon to stop the case. So, and in the meantime, Christina and I emailed the pardon to my criminal attorney, which is Paula Armeni with Clark Hill. And Paula sent it right to the judge and said, here's a motion to vacate the sentencing, right? So Christina did that Thursday. And then we got the sealed pardon Friday. So she shipped that off. So Paula shipped off the sealed pardon to the Judicial Commission and the judge. And then Monday, the judge signed it. So then the commission got the 2 items that they needed. Now they just resend it and I'm back on
So is this final, or could the state come and play a role?
Well, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that because you see that
right?
all over
because
social
I sell
media.
newspapers. I should get a portion. I should get a portion of their income because I sell the most newspapers, right? They are so full of BS. I'm just kidding. So whatever you're reading, no. Sure, they can look at it, right? But there's something called SOL, right? And it's not what you think, SOL, right? It's statute of limitations. A lot of people think it's beepity beep out of luck, right? But it's not, right? But yeah, right? But it's statute of limitations. So you have to understand, these people have been going after me for 8 years. This case was concocted and made up, and it looks horrible. Number one, police officers that know me know that I'm a pro law enforcement girl. Number 2, there's 3 police officer statues up, period. So when they
Did your PAC pay for those?
No.
Your foundation pay for those?
No. The charities are the charities. I had $1 million art budget at the city, and they paid for statue 2, 3, and on, right? So, and a lot of people don't realize why the Alan Beck and Igor Saldo statue was important to me. People don't know that. So Alan Beck and Igor Saldo was gunned down and murdered viciously from 2 crazy individuals, the Millers. Jared, and I don't know what the woman's name was, right? The Millers. The Millers went to the Bundy Ranch, and Pete Santilli came to me and said, Michelle, there's a couple here. They're trying to get firearms, but they're a felon. I said to Pete, you go get some of those militia boys of yours over there and you escort them away from this protest. Mm-hmm. Period. You escort them away from this protest. Now, what we had at the protest was FBI informants, right? Because every time they take a picture of the FBI informant, hey, I'm at the protest, dude. Hey, I'm with Michele Fiore, dude. Hey, I'm with Clive Bundy, dude. The FBI pays them $100, $200 a day, and they don't even have to pay tax on it. Cash. And their names aren't listed in the FBI because they're confidential human sources. So their names are, hey, this FBI informant 123 or ABC or whatever their code name is. Snowball, right? Snowball, right?
How many of those were at J6?
Oh, half.
Yeah.
Oh, half. Half, right? Half, right? Just egging them on.
A lot of $100
Same with
bills.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a lot of cash.
Yeah.
A lot of, they're in the cash
Michigan,
business, right?
BLM riots.
Yeah, oh, please, all of it. So here we are, right? So the fake news is going to use me as much as possible. And then, the saddest thing is, because it's coming up to election season, right? So now you have the Republicans, the Democrats, they're like, okay, Michelle's a great election tool. Right? So Aaron Ford put a statement out, right? Now you have, and now this is, hopefully hearsay, but I hope the governor just calms down, right? Because I don't want to have to talk about the governor, right? So, period, because I can.
You said you had a secret about Brian Sandoval earlier.
I did have a secret.
Oh, yeah.
So here's my secret.
That. Yeah,
so my secret about Brian Sandoval was I had a big crush on him. I thought Brian Sandoval was our sexiest governor ever. And
so basically, he called off the drone strike, saved you, and in essence, had you left, they could have died, but you probably being there protected them.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I don't know. But I just know he was a hero, and there was no bloodshed, And then I went to Oregon and stuffed it in their face again because Franklin Graham and I went to Oregon to save. There was 4 holdouts. 2 of them were Nevadans, right? So we got them out safely after they murdered Lavoie, right? So it's just like, listen.
There was even controversy about that.
Oh,
them writing about you and Franklin Graham and all
I
that.
saw that. So
Did
gross.
you see? I know.
So gross. The guy's married.
Yeah.
We were huddled. We were literally squished in a bearcat. Like, stop.
So, Judge,
Yes.
there's a rumor out there.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lordy.
I already
you're
asked
running
her.
for county commissioner.
No, I'm not. Let me be crystal clear.
I would like you to
No.
do it.
I love Pahrump. I love my people in Pahrump. I love my prosecutors. I love my PDs, which are my public defenders and my attorneys. I love the attorneys that come out of Vegas to Pahrump. I love my life in Pahrump. It's less chaotic than Las Vegas. I'm not leaving Pahrump, and I'm not ever running for another office unless it's a judge or I'm an attorney. So I'm either going to be a judge or an attorney. That is it. I am done. I am so done. No, but Commission F, who's in that seat?
Justin Jones.
Justin Jones,
Justin Jones. Who's going to run against him?
your friend,
Which one?
Victoria Singh.
Oh, okay.
She moved into that.
Yeah, remember I told you
She's an opportunist.
the two little precincts
Good
that
Lord have
overlap,
She moved
right?
into that.
Yeah.
They bought at the end of March
Yeah,
this little townhome there. So she can qualify.
Well, this is what I got to say. I really don't have anything to say about that one. She's, I think, her history is going to follow her,
Yes, it is.
right? She sues the city. She's going to sue the county. She sues this person.
County's already in too much trouble because of Justin,
Yeah.
and the
We don't
money,
need
the
to add
millions
to
of
it.
dollars. Yeah, we don't.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And I know it was last minute too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, it's okay. I thank you. And like I say, to the haters that are watching the show, that attack you, please, it's okay to hate me. I'm cool with that. But what I'm not cool is your misinformation.
Yeah.
So literally look at the court records, look at the missing testimony, try to find the missing discovery, and look at the willful defamation and media distortions, because you heard it from my mouth, straight from my mouth. This is how it is. And let me tell you something. For 10 years, no one's heard this. I've not complained. I've walked through fire in my high heels. I've never said anything.
Could you explain about that one reporter saying get on your knees?
Yes!
Explain that.
Okay, that is great. Thank you for bringing that
Absolutely.
up. So first of all, number one, thank God I'm pardoned. Number two, thank President Donald J. Trump for giving me my life back, period. Number three, Christina Wildervelt, that attorney of mine, that pardon attorney, you talk about shaking trees, emailing every day. This is what's happening. Did you see this? Did you see this? Calling. Did you get my email? I mean, fabulous. Paola Armeni, my Clark Hill girl. Well, she's a woman, beautiful, brilliant. Like, you can, understand that without President Trump's pardon, right, I had the greatest team at the end. Whether I was going to go to prison or not, I had the greatest team at the end. But President Trump pardoned me. So, and I'm going to tell you, I was raised Catholic, found out I was Jewish in my later years. And so I've always had a relationship with God. And I mean, not just, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, amen, our Father, who art in heaven. None of that. Like, literally, when I pray, it's an hour. It's meditative prayer.
Hour.
Yeah. No, because, I need to get into that. A lot of people just do their prayer. Oh, dear God, please, give me $1 million. And, oh, dear God, I'm so sorry I was drunk and I slept with my best friend's husband. And, oh, dear God, oh, dear God. They're always asking God for something. Always asking God for something. Talk to God. Talk to God and talk to him about what's happening in your life. And here's the thing, I'm going to tell you, we pull it in ourselves. And when I talk to God, it's not like, it's not the response of, oh, sweetie Michelle, I'm going to handle it. No, it's like, what'd you do to pull it in? Like, that's what I hear. Like, what'd you do to pull it in, right? Because no matter what happens to us in life, we're pulling it in, right? However we're pulling it in, we're pulling it in. And I contribute my mouth to a lot of things that I pull in. I don't, I'm a very strong person, opinionated, and I need to calm down. So when I'm doing my meditative prayer, right? When I'm doing my meditative prayer, I talk to him and we go back in history and I just said, have mercy on me. And So my knees are worn out, right? My knees are worn out because, I'll start on my knees and then I'll get on my bed and do the whole yoga position and still be in that state with very meditative music in the background. So, and I say this to everyone. It's a prayer, right? So when I tell you get on your knees, like get on your knees and pray, right? So when I told Vanessa with Channel 8 News, like, Vanessa, get on your knees, girl. Like, because she's so nasty. Like, she's just a nasty, she's like, what do you say to the widows? I'm like, you're welcome. Like, your husband's statue standing. Like, what else do you say? Right? So, she's just a nasty girl. And and I say to her, girl, you need to get on your knees. And I go into, Isaiah 57:17 about no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I go down, right? And I go down, the whole statement. And what does this chick do? She's like, ow, Michele Fiore told me to get on my knees. You know what that showed me? That showed me the heart of the accuser. That showed me where Vanessa's heart is. Like, maybe she's not on her knees praying. I don't know what she's doing on your knees, but if you're on your knees, you better be praying, right? Praying. Like, I don't know what she's doing on her knees, but obviously she didn't know to pray. So that's what I got to say about that.
And there was another thing about ordained by God.
Yeah.
You want to explain that one?
I do, because
I think you actually explained it while you were talking about knees.
Yeah. So here's the thing, like, President Donald J. Trump gave me my life back. But understand, that was God touching President Donald J. Trump, just as it was God that had him turn his head and save him. Right. That was God, right? So, people need to get back to that. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't, whatever your religion is, I respect 100%. And I mean all religions, from Muslim to Scientology to Judaism, Jewish to Catholic to Christian to you give me a religion, right? Because you're praying to God, the source. And when you don't want to call him God, that's okay. Don't call him God. Call him the source. Call him the unknown. Talk to Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza. Does anyone know Joe Dispenza? He will teach you how to meditate. So
I pray to God all the time.
You take his Joe Dispenza's meditation and you take it with God, all of your teachings, right? Because I went to Catholic school, right? I went to Catholic Jesuit. I went to Jesuit college as well before UNLV. So, like, I've got a lot of, Catholic guilt and God in my head, but I have taken my knowledge of my religions that I've studied in all of my life, and I have put it together into my own meditative prayer, and it's my own, it's personal. So, like I said, first I thank God. Like God is everything, and God is everywhere, and God is all of us. And I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a little great, what I think is great, the greatest moment in your life daily that you could do is pray in the wind, in the breeze, right? So I'll go in my backyard, and if it's cold, bring a sweater. Like, don't be lazy. Like, get a sweater. I sit near my pool, and sometimes it's windy, but the wind, it's like God touching you. It's just like, and so when I'm meditatively praying and it's wind, I totally feel like God's touching me, right? And my heart is 100% open to receiving what he wants to teach me. So, I was on my knees for 9 months, right? And usually I'm on my knees once a day, right? Through my whole life. But in this particular session, I'm like, hey, God, it's me again. Like, now what? Like, this happened, God, today. Like, this happened today, God. Like, the judge did this, God, right? And every single time when I was done meditatively praying, I felt, calm down. I got this. Go make dinner. Or, whatever it is, right? Like, and I have to tell you, I wasn't afraid, but I was prepared. I was never afraid to go to prison. I was prepared, right? And I did an interview with Pete Santilli and Mrs. Santilli, Deb Santilli, and Deb literally said to me, Michele, what are you going to do in prison? And it struck me. It struck me, and I broke down again, and I'm like, I'm going to help the people in prison, like find out who's who needs to get out of here, who needs motions written. Like, I'm going to be a servant there. Like, I don't know. What are you going to do in prison? You're going to serve the people, right? You're just going to serve the people. Like, that's what you're going to do. So,
Ms. Phillips, do you have anything else?
All of this was over $70,000, right?
oh my gosh, when an accountant, I want you to think about this. So an accountant with my attorney's office, right? So it's our legal team was looking at the discovery and all of the money, all of the surveillance, all of the pictures of me, all of everything, right? All 4 different investigations, 57 agents, 8 years of surveillance, all this. You're looking at over $8 million minimum. He said, Michelle, I'm just being conservative, but if you requested the receipts, looking at $8 million and they're trying to get you on 70.
I find it amazing. I'm sorry, Ms. Phillips, but I find it amazing how the whole justice system could come after you for $70,000, but then you have judges that are doing far worse, putting people in prison that are innocent and hiding evidence and all that. And they come after you for that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So here's what I'm going to say. So as a judge, I can't be political, right? But in Washington, D.C., there's something called the Weaponization Committee that Eric Parker taught me about. And so as a judge, I can't be an activist politically. But I can give an activist, like they can take my case, right? What I will, in my heart and soul, Stephen Meyer's been in that Nevada U.S. Attorney's Office for 25 years, 30 years. And his last goal, by coming from the mouth of my first attorney, who's Stephen Meyer's best friend, was I'm not going to retire till that girl goes to jail. So I was his last project, right? I was his last project, right? Well, Stephen, I'm not going to jail. So anyway, so I would, if it was my call, I would investigate. Forget about me. Throw my case out. Forget about me, right? I would investigate everything that man ever touched. I would probably overturn it. And anything that Washington, D.C. strike team came in from public integrity, anybody on that list, and I've got a list, all pardoned, fully. Because the dirtiness, the lies, what they did to the jurors, I can't blame the jurors. The jurors only knew what they were told, right? They only knew what they were told, right? But boy, coming back in less than an hour, that was like, we're going to hang her from a crane, period.
They had already made up their minds.
They made up their mind.
So, we were talking about this before the show, and I have seen horrific comments.
Oh, yeah. And
online
the haters are going to hate. There's no way I'm not going to get love from my haters, and that's okay.
People, they say you stole money, all this about where that money went. And this is all media hit, whatever's in these articles, the clickbait. Was any of that money spent on your daughter's wedding?
Never. So here, let's go.
Any of those things, go through the wedding, rent.
Let's talk about plastic surgery.
And plastic surgery.
That's the best, right? First of all, you guys are sitting here. You can see me. This, all authentically me, okay? This is a little bleach for flair in my hair.
That's your hair.
Okay. Oh, it's my hair. There's like no extensions. Like this is my hair, but I got bleach. Like you can pull it and it ain't coming out. Okay. But I got bleach, right? This, I've cut them off twice. Authentically me. There's no plastic surgery here. This, I could use some help, right? But here's the thing. The thing that really gets me going, again, willfulness, they say plastic surgery. So people were thinking, oh my God, she had a facelift, or maybe she got boobs, or whatever they're thinking. It's a lie. First of all, when you literally see the documents of the, in the courtroom, what they're calling plastic surgery was me at my esthetician because, as a young girl, I popped my pimples. They have a receipt. I think it was $1,700. $1,700. Because I had I call it the Jesus Christ tool. Don't make fun of me. That's not what the tool's called. But it looks like this ball with spikes on it. And they go across your face to create collagen. And they make your face a little red and bloody. But it's to help make the pores smaller because it's not that I was a pimple popper. I'm still a pimple popper. I'm still 54 years old. I pop my pimples, right? So That's what they're calling plastic surgery. That is the
came
document.
Out of the foundation. That's what they're talking about.
That's in the documentation. That's what they showed the jury. But they're calling it plastic surgery. So they want the world to think I either had a facelift or a boob lift or a boob job or fake. But this is not fake, honey. These are cut off twice. Just
Why
so you know.
would you take money out of the foundation to pay for something like that?
I would never do that.
Oh, so that didn't come out of the
No, never.
donation money.
The donation money. Never did I
So
take
that
$1.
was all-
That
all
was
just
on my
media.
my personal credit card. That was all a lie. All a lie. Then my rent. So first of all, I had cash in my house. And let me tell you, this also came out in the motion, so I can share it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody Fraxwell and another FBI agent, Dawn something, a Victoria's favorite FBI agent, right? So anyway, Cody Fraxwell and Dawn, like her two best friends, right? So they're on the phone with they're on the phone with someone, right? And she says, and this is in the motion. This is in the motion, so I could share it with you. So she says, hey, I spoke to Michele Fiore. Cody jumps on it. What'd she say? What'd she say? And then he gets interrupted, and Don's like, no, shut up. Don't let her talk. Don't let her talk, because the cash thing would have came out about my consulting and me getting paid in cash or me getting paid, right? Mm-hmm. So they were literally hiding it. So when the judge denies the motion for acquittal or the motion for a new trial and sees all of this evidence that Pal Armeni from Clark Hill, okay, puts in her motions with, all of her attachments, ignored, right? All of their crimes is in the sealed discovery, and that's what the haters don't see. That's what they don't know. So no plastic surgery, honey. These are mine, and this is just from eating pasta and wine. If you want some of this, don't go get plastic, whatever they put up in there. Just eat some more bread, okay? Eat some more bread. And so no plastic, no rent,
no wedding,
And here's the thing: the greatest thing on the stand. Again, I can say this because it's public. They had a girl from the wedding that worked at the venue that later on got fired or whatever. But that's the girl that they brought, the one that got fired. They thought, well, maybe she's disgruntled and she didn't like me because she told them I was a little extra, right? So, which I'm a little extra, I know, it's probably true. But so they get the girl on the stand and they're like, well, these payments, how are these payments made? And she's like, well, these, let's say there were 6 or 7 of them. Those were made by credit cards. And what about these? $1,500 cash and this $1,200 cash, which was my daughter who was getting married. She's a cocktail waitress. She makes a lot of cash. So she's like, well, we don't have a record of who gave the cash, right? Mm-hmm. So they have and she's saying this on the stand, right? No record of who gave the cash. My attorney cross-examines her. So did Michele give you the cash? I don't know. But they're saying that I used cash from my charity for my daughter's wedding. And let me tell you something. It wasn't an extravagant wedding. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it was $30,000, $40,000. But me, her biological dad, her stepdad that raised her, my mom, there was several of us that paid for my daughter's wedding. Mm-hmm. We never, ever, And then what about all of my personal funds that I put in, right? To the charity events that I did when we were low on money, raising the money, right?
Did you ever get that back?
No, right? And so here's another thing. The DOJ closed with the jurors and they said, she couldn't afford it without stealing. Just look at her bank statements. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in another document that was presented in the motions to either a new trial or an acquittal, literally the FBI writes she came back for cash and makeup because I always had cash. So I am a cash girl. I'd rather be paid in cash. But here's the thing, a cash girl. I probably made $50,000, $60,000 in cash in those years. And guess what? Cash, right? Most people would not claim that on their tax returns. Mm-hmm. I did. Mm-hmm. So instead of the DOJ saying to the jurors, look at her tax returns, because then it'll show you, 150, 100, and no. They're like, look at her bank. Because if you're paying me cash, I ain't putting it in the bank. It's going under my mattress, like a nice Italian girl, right? That's what we do, right? So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So no money on plastic surgery, all authentically made, thanks, and the Jesus Christ tool. The no money on the wedding, no money on the rent. And what else did they say? I think that was it.
Well, that none of the money that you raised, the donations that you took in, was used to build the statue.
So the monies that came in, and here's what they don't say. They say statue instead of charitable event, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know, when we send out a mailer to 15,000 people inviting them, that's like $5,000.
Yeah.
And people that do mail visit. So yes, but they never let me present that. They wiped Sheena's testimony out. That literally was going to show that those monies raised some, if it said statue, right, went to that event, right? And it's the charitable event. Mm-hmm. They don't want to show that. And it's all in the discovery. It's all in my attorney's book. And all of the press, I said, no, I'm not talking to you because they literally took the DOJ docket, and they said, this is what happened. What the DOJ said. They never took my motions and said, well, this is what happened. But her motions say that they literally put a convicted felon and paid for felon on the stand. They forgot to tell the judge that one of the witnesses in counts 2 through 7 is a convicted felon and a paid for FBI agent. They didn't tell him that. Remember I told you 3 people called me and the 4th one didn't?
Yeah.
It was that guy. Right. Yeah. Right. They forgot, but it's all in the sidebars.
Can you release all of that? Can you release those?
It's all public information.
Oh, you can all.
Oh, it's there. It's all literally in the court's docket. So when the press decides they're going to take the DOJ's docket and not Michelle's docket, it's there. It's public. Mm-hmm. It's public, right? Then we have a guy, I won't mention his name, but it might come to fruition, gets on the line stands and gets on the stand and lies. I think that's dyslexia. Gets on the stand and lies, right? Because Michelle called me for money, right? But if you look at my motions, it says, hey, that guy should be impeached because it's not what he told the FBI, because we've got the documentation of what he told the FBI, right? Mm-hmm. No one would listen.
Ms. Phillips, do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ms. Fiore, Judge Fiore, thank you so much for being on the program. Mark is going to zoom in on you, and you have the final word. You could say whatever you want, tell people to go to hell, whatever.
No.
and your point of contact if you want to give it.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you. I felt very comfortable talking with you, and
thank you.
And know that I have refused a lot of like Channel 8, Channel 13, Channel 5, they're not going to tell my story. And I literally have asked them to look at my docket and tell my story. And then if you do that, call me back, right? But they won't.
They'll just cut you off.
Yeah.
Here you can freely speak.
Yeah, it was really good. And I just want to let the people that have supported me, thank you. First and foremost, thank you so much. I do feel your love, and my prayer warriors, God is good, and this is a God thing. Just know that this is a 100% God thing. And President Donald J. Trump gave me my life back. Christina Wilderveld shook those trees for that pardon every day, calling, emailing, and then after emailing, did you get my email? I mean, she's the attorney. You need a pardon, you call Christina. And then I will tell you, if you really want a sharp criminal attorney that can write motions that is incredible, that tell your story for the record forever, that's Paola Armani with Clark Hill. Hands down, that woman, and it's funny because when I first went to her, the only thing she knew about me was the press. Mm-hmm. And I think she won't tell me this probably, but I think she was skeptical of me because she only knew what the press said. So, but I'm very grateful. And to all my haters, listen, you just don't know the story. And it's really easy to follow the headlines because it's the easy, lazy way out. But I would implore you to look at the court records, the sealed documents, the missing testimony, the missing discovery, and the missing exculpatory evidence. And then if you actually could look at all of that and still hate me, okay. But other than that, I will always pray for you, whether you hate me or love me. That's it.
One more question.
Yeah.
What would you tell folks out there that are in a situation that they need the presidential pardon? How would you tell them to go about doing something like that?
So, here's the thing. You can do it yourself. First and foremost, you can do it yourself. You can fill out the application, send it into the DOJ, and then you have to follow up. You can't be lazy. You can't say, well, I filed it and it's there, whatever happened. No. Like, call, email. Did you just, and implore them to just respond that they received it, right? And make it factual, right? So, give them all the facts. And here's what I'm going to say. The biggest thing about a pardon is when you're asking for a pardon, you have to give them the facts and tell them why you deserve the pardon. Like, hey, counts 1, not true. This is why. And give them the evidence. Counts 2, this is why. Blah, blah, blah. Even with the pardons office, when we would say, counts 1 to 7, we would say, here's the facts. Here's bait stamp numbers, but it's sealed. You're the DOJ. I don't know if you can get it, but I'm not giving it to you because I'm not breaking the judge's order, right? So you have to be very cautious. But I would tell people never give up, never ever give up, and never back down. The biggest thing we have going on here is we have a 98% conviction rate with the DOJ here because everyone takes a plea deal. Because they run out of money, then they don't know they can get a public defender. I ran out of money, I had to get a CJA, right? So they don't know what to do, right? But there's self-help There's self-help centers like for that. But if you are innocent, don't ever back down. Don't you dare plea down. If you're innocent, you stand your ground. And it's hard to do. And I did it for 10 years. So I'm not preaching to the choir and not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm telling you, I never back down, and here I am. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for clearing that all up.
Right?
Because people had a whole lot of bleh.
Even, they're still going to, right? They're still going to. Facts are facts. Like, it is what it is. Like, this happened. There's a lot of things I would love to tell you that I read in the sealed documents. Juicy. About many people y'all know. But it's sealed documents. So the only thing I really could share today was what happened. When Cody came in, this is what Cody said. That's not in the sealed document. That's what he told me face to face. When my friends call me and say the FBI came and flashed their badge and said, don't tell anyone. Okay, really? Just stop.
Well, Judge Fiore, thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on the program.
Thanks.
Ms. Phillips, thank you so much. Folks, that's Judge Michele Fiore.
Yeah.
We hope that she cleared up any misinformation that you might have heard or saw in the press. And we hope that this show has been informative. And if you don't believe her, look up the facts like she says.
Yeah.
But don't talk crap about her if you haven't looked up the information, because that's not good for anybody. And if somebody was to do that to you, you wouldn't want that to happen to you. So put yourself in her shoes. And this has been a very, very interesting show. And until next time, Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips, Veterans in Politics. Until next time, thank you so much.